My name is Samantha Mailing, and this is the strategic analysis of Duke Energy for my MBA Strategic Management project. Duke Energy is one of the largest regulated electric utilities in the United States, serving roughly 8 million customers across 6 states, including the Carolinas, Florida, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. The company's core operations follow the traditional utility model, generating electricity, transmitting it over a high voltage grid, and distributing it to residential, commercial, and industrial customers. Duke operates a diverse energy portfolio that includes natural gas, nuclear coal, hydroelectric, solar, and wind resources. In addition to electricity, the company is also involved in closely related areas such as natural gas distribution, utility scale renewable energy products, battery storage development, and major grid modernization initiatives. These activities fall within the regulated energy sector and complement Duke's primary focus on delivering reliable, safe, and affordable power across its service territories. For Duke's energy business level strategy, we're going to be focusing on the regulated utility business. They use a low cost strategy. Operating in a regulated utility market, it follows the same strategic pattern we see across the industry, which is utilities must complete through cost efficiency rather than price. This is because prices are determined by regulators, so Duke can't increase just because of a cost rise. So maintaining the lowest sustainable cost structure is essential. For Duke, scale grid modernization and lower cost generation sources all support low cost strategy. When we break down how Duke actually executes the low cost strategy, the drivers are as follows. First, Duke benefits from economies of scale. They're one of the largest electric utilities in the country, so they're able to spread their massive fixed costs, which include plants, transmission lines, and digital systems over millions of customers, which lowers the average cost per kilowatt hour compared to smaller utility companies. Second, Duke improves the efficiency of its activity system through grid modernization. Investments in advanced metering, automated substations, and digital switching reduce outage, manage lower maintenance and labor costs, and streamline their operations across the entire value chain. Third, Duke achieves input cost advantages by shifting its generation mix away from expensive coal and toward lower cost natural gas and renewables. This reduces fuel costs and stabilizes long-term operating expenses. Finally, Duke strengthens asset utilization by retiring older, underperforming units and directing capital toward higher efficiency plants and grid technologies. Together, these drivers make Duke's regulated utility business a textbook example of a low-cost provider. Because prices are regulated, Duke can't raise rates to cover inefficiency, so maintaining the lowest sustainable cost structure is essential to its long-term performance. Next, we're going to evaluate Duke's corporate level strategy, where we'll review vertical and horizontal integration, related diversification, stability strategies, as well as reconfiguration within the company. For Duke's corporate leverage strategy, the first major component is vertical integration. We see this as Duke owns the full value chain, which is generation, transmission, and distribution. Structuring the business this way reduces coordination costs and protects the company from opportunistic behavior by outside suppliers. It also improves reliability and operational control, which is really important in a regulated environment where prices can't freely adjust to absorb the inefficiencies. In addition to vertical integration, Duke has expanded through several important horizontal integrations. Deals like Synergy, Progress Energy, and Piedmont Natural Gas are all bought in businesses with similar cultures, regulatory structures, and asset models. That makes integration smoother and lowers the risk of cultural mismatch, which is one of the biggest reasons many mergers can fail. For Duke, these acquisitions increased economies of scale and strengthened its overall cost position. Duke also makes strategic decisions about when not to partner. Utilities manage highly specialized capital intensive assets, and alliance in these areas can create holdup risk if one partner invests more heavily than the other. Because of that, Duke typically prefers full ownership of core operations. However, it does still use selective joint venture in renewables when partnering gives access to complementary technology without compromising control over critical infrastructure. Duke Energy uses related diversification, meaning the company expands into areas that build on the same capabilities that already support its regulated utility operations. Investments in natural gas, infrastructure, utilities, scale solar, battery storage, and large grid modernization projects all complement the company's existing business model. These areas rely on the same engineering expertise, regulatory relationships, capital intensive asset management, and long-term planning capabilities that Duke already excels in. This approach aligns directly with the idea that diversification should reinforce a firm's identity rather than dilute it. By expanding only into energy-related businesses that strengthen its position as a modern electric utility, Duke maintains a cohesive strategic identity and avoids the risk associated with unrelated diversification. These choices support the theory of the firm by leveraging existing capabilities and depending on companies' core and competencies. In terms of stability strategies, Duke uses two forms, which is the first is a pause and proceed strategy, which is common when regulatory conditions, costs, or long-term demand trends are uncertain. Duke often uses this approach in nuclear generation planning where large capital commitments require cautious phased decision making. The company also applies a no train strategy, which fits the nature of a highly regulated utility. Duke cannot rapidly expand into new territories without regulatory approval. Final takeaways is that Duke's low-cost strategy fits regulated environments, and their corporate strategy blends integration, mergers and alliances, and diversification. It allows them to avoid risky alliances where asset specificity is high, and they continuously reconfigure its asset for long-term advantage.